slow death, hot dreams unmet. Just our personal steps we walk around to regress.
Hello.
Mr. Bent.
Can you guys hear us all right?
We can hear you perfect.
So far, so good.
What's up with you Canadians?
Oh, what is up with us?
What's up?
I think we're
Canadian.
Yeah, I think we're a little less crazy than down there, but
Yeah.
Well,
down here.
yeah, there's your card under the table right there.
There you go. There you go. I heard somebody had a big old concert there the other night. Some country guy in Tennessee. I don't know if that was in Nashville or not. Like 4,000 people or something at it.
Oh, I think I heard about. We're actually in Arkansas right now.
You're back in Arkansas.
oh, you're back there, hey?
Only for a week.
We're here for a week.
But I did. The only reason I know what you're talking about is because I saw that some other country artist was mad.
Okay.
This country artist had a big concert with that.
Yeah.
People. So who knows?
Who knows? I don't know. I just thought
While we were parked in Nashville, though, Garth Brooks had a concert.
Did he?
That we were parked
Right behind.
and it was a smaller venue.
Yeah, I'd say it's only like 250, maybe 300.
It's called the Listening Room. It's a really cool place. I mean, it's a super cool. We did a walkthrough of that venue, and
Wow.
it's just legit. But yeah, it was. I don't know how like social distancing works and all that for we haven't actually been to a concert yet. So, but man,
Yeah.
But they have tables. It's like a table seating.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
it's literally a listening room. It's not like a stand and get rowdy concert. So
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
it was
Maybe
packed. Well, for what it was.
for Garth Brooks, yeah. That's crazy.
Oh man, it looked pretty sweet anyway.
Yeah, anything right now would probably look pretty sweet. Hey, you're just like, I'm itching to get in there.
Oh man, it's so hard to, someone asked me today, like, what do you think the future is? Because I was reading this article and it doesn't look like maybe concerts are going to open up until 2020, summer of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep thinking, like, even if we get to Christmas without performing, you're still booking 3 to 6 months out. So that's June of next year.
Yeah.
So, you're trying not to think about future, but your whole life therein lies with the future. So, you have to start planning something and hope that it doesn't fall off the face of the planet.
No doubt.
Like it's just tricky. It's tricky.
That is tricky. So what do you got cooking? What are you thinking you're going to do? You're hitting billboards now. You're doing all that.
Man, isn't that crazy?
Oh, I was so happy to see that shit, huh? So I was like, it's about goddamn time.
I can't. What's so interesting to me is when our record label called and said, "Man, you guys, I gotta tell you some great news, and you gotta celebrate." And like Veronica was sick, and I celebrated with a protein shake.
Nice.
What people probably don't realize, and you guys know this about us because of our last interview, but people see something like that, but they don't really know who you are or what you do. They just assume, like, if you're on the charts, you're probably well off.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
And we're in our 24-foot U-Haul micro house, going, and our record label's like, "Man, are you guys not excited?" But what's interesting is it's like, we've been working so hard for 14 years that it's so, because it is something that you dream about. Like, I started playing drums in '86. You dream about Casey Kasem saying your name on the Billboard charts. You dream about things like that, and then you see it, and it's like, man, is that real? I mean, you're up there with like Ozzy and Five Finger Death Punch and Korn, all these bands, and it's like, man, is that for real? But at the same time, it was so hard to just jump up and down, because it's like, wow, we've been working so hard. What's the next step?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
how
it's
our
like
mind goes.
either way, you're still driving the trailer.
That's right.
Like,
We're still stretching a dollar and all these
Yeah.
things. And all to us, it's like, all right, man, this is some fuel to the fire.
right.
Let's see.
Oh,
Let's
for
see
sure.
what next. Maybe we're writing another album now. Like, there's a little bit of direction in this. And not only are you going, wow, we've been doing this for 14 years. This could turn into 20 years.
Right.
If we could come up with a follow up and get more into that public where people are familiar with your name and those kinds of things. So yeah, man, I mean, it's super cool, and at the same time, it's super hard to digest.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we were.
It was just awesome to see that, like, you get added to all these playlists, too. There's a bunch more playlists that are very prominent. Success, like secondary market rock charts and mainstream rock charts. And you're thinking, okay, this is good to see. Because everybody knows that name, Billboard, right? It's not just like, a playlist here and there. When you get on Billboard, it's a big thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that was the thing whenever, they sent us the secondary charts first. And I really, I wasn't too familiar with that. We've never been in that world, so to say.
Right.
And then when they sent the Billboard, of course, you're right. Like, everyone knows who Billboard is. If you're if you're a musician.
Yeah.
Right.
And what exactly, if you could enlighten me, just what does secondary market rock chart mean? Like, I saw some bands on there. It seems like more independent stuff, but kind of just fill us in if you could.
Yeah. So I called a buddy of mine who I didn't even know was familiar with that, and he used to own the drum company that sponsors us. There's
Nice.
a new one now, but and I was like, man, we hit like number one most added to the secondary charts. Now we're like, I think 28 on secondary, and then we're 38 on Billboard in the rock and roll charts. So you have your boxes, your country, your rock and roll, your pop, and Ryan Seacrest does the pop, so. So he might mention if you were number one on rock. I'm not quite sure how that works, but so he was telling me that the secondary foundation charts is basically the DJs who have added your stuff but also enjoy like playing your stuff.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's smaller markets, so it's a lot. It is like the independent radio stations. But it's like, wow, we just got this band. We love this band. We're spinning this band, and so from what he was kind of telling me, or from what I gathered, and what he said was, sometimes it's kind of cool because people are looking at the secondary markets a lot of times because it's the DJs that love playing your stuff rather than Billboard, where it's the bands with the giant amounts of money that are able to kind of
buy their way onto Billboard. I'll say it.
Right.
Fuck them. They buy their way onto the Billboard.
Yeah. Isn't payola illegal?
Well, hearing that, it makes me want to actually pay a little bit more attention to those secondary rock charts now. Just being like, okay, well, if people are digging the music and really interested in it, that's kind of what we like. Is just when people are interested in the music and really letting it speak for itself. I think that's awesome to hear. Good job, guys.
Yeah, thank you. And it's coming from him too, because he used to play in a band that was obviously doing things and on the move, and I didn't know what that meant either. So when he explained it to me, and that was his thing. It's almost like I don't want to say it's underground because people are paying attention to those charts, but at the same time, it has that kind of vibe where it's like when you go to a big festival, you have your main stage and your second stage. And then sometimes you go to the second stage and you're like, dude, where is that band fixing to go? And, and sometimes people camp out at the second stage more than they do the main stage, which is kind of what we used to do back in the day at Ozfest and things like that. And so it was kind of cool for him to say that and to move up. We've kind of been keeping track over the last 4 weeks.
You're not going down. You're climbing.
Yeah. So on secondary, it went up to 28, and I think we went up to 33 in the main Billboard. And it's still, I don't know if Billboard, if people have to call in and request. I think that's how it works for Billboard, where, obviously you have your big players where your name is all over the world. And we're probably some of those kind of dogs under the table that you get a bone thrown to which is great. Like, I'm not complaining about that. For us, I mean, we'll take a bone.
Yeah.
And so it's just miraculous to see it. Like, I've got pictures on my phone that I'll probably never get rid of. And you know what's interesting too, like I haven't ever thought of it in this perspective, but my son, you know, my son's 23, and when we were first added to the charts, the day that our label called us, and that day we were the #1 most added
That's right.
band in modern rock radio charts on Billboard and the secondary, which was super cool. I mean, you know, to think like you're #1 in something. And my son calls me and he's like, "Man, did you ever think you were going to write a chart-topping hit?" And I had never thought of it as, wow, that is the top of a chart. I never thought of it in that way. I just thought like, all right, here's something that's happening. Let's keep our focus and clarity. I mean, it feels like we never stop working anyway.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. This is just a happy little interruption on your road.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the world of not being able to tour. And of course, the downside is you want to be out touring and striking while the iron's hot.
Yes.
But, you know, what can you say? Like, this is a blessing through the thing that's happening. Mm-hmm. So we're stoked. And at the same time, it's like, okay, I've got some ideas for another album. I've got some, you know, there's all these little drum videos that we've been putting together to try to stay in the public eye.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are awesome.
People are starting to go back
sweet.
to work.
Mm-hmm.
And but the musicians are going to be the last, especially I would not say your big artists are okay, but for artists that are trying to keep climbing and scraping and clawing, or however that looks, it's an interesting world to go. Like, we just canceled 3 shows. We backed out. We didn't cancel. We backed out. We were on the bill because one of the shows was in Tulsa, one of the shows was in Missouri, and one was in a festival. And it's hard because Arkansas and Oklahoma are on the rise for COVID right now. So some states that you go to, you have to have a 14-day quarantine just for going back into Arkansas. And so it was a tough decision because in the past, I have had around 7 lung operations from drugs, from a lot of different things when I was a young, dumb rock and roller. And so a lot of it was, you know, for my health, do I need to be, and you know, there's smaller clubs that we were playing at. So do I need to go into a place where someone might bring this? And at the same time, do I apologize for backing out of a performance and say I'm sorry now, or do I apologize to someone for coming to a performance who got sick and went to, you know, there's so much to think about, like responsibility. Right.
Yeah, from what I've seen from like the bands that are doing this, like it's, you know, it's not the big bands, it's, you know, those middle of the pack bands that have some shows that they're doing. The best support I've seen are for those people that have made that decision to say, you know what, I'm backing out. I want to play it safe, and I'm just gonna ride it out and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what we decided to do. Although a lot of the view around here and where we live is, oh, come on, let's just get life back together. You know, I can't say a lot of the view, but there is a lot of people that are on that side, and
sure.
There's a lot of people that are on the safety side. And I guess for me, I just didn't want to be, or for both of us, we just didn't want to be, we didn't want to cause friction. It'd be better for us to wait and lay low until someone says, all right, let's do this. Let's hit the ground running.
Yeah, well, like you said, do you want to apologize for backing out of a gig, or do you want to apologize to someone's family for getting them sick? You know, like, what do you...
Yeah, man, it's just challenging.
It is, right?
There's no real win in that situation, because obviously you're a band that relies on your live shows and getting out there and everything like that. You've got huge success coming now with the Billboard. It's bittersweet. It's like, okay, sure, when I can't do anything about this momentum, now I hit it. You know?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it's too bad. But
I mean,
I think you made the right choice, though. I think honestly, you guys made the right choice to back out. Well, obviously for your health, #1, but for, you know, it's just, it is what it is. It's a whole new world right now.
Yeah, and we felt good about making that choice too. I
Good.
think it was something that was in the back burner of our mind, and then we both looked at each other when we saw that big festival back out a couple of days ago that was still holding out. We were like, you know what, we should be an example and follow suit. And yeah, you know, ironically, this song hits the charts because there was nothing coming out that was fresh.
Right.
I did an interview with a DJ in Minnesota that's been playing our stuff, I think, since January. And he was like, dude, I know that because we had a radio push that was going to push, but we kind of backed off because of COVID and who's going to be listening to the radio, you know, all those kinds of things that you're not really sure of. And he had mentioned on air, like, you know, you should really start your radio push now because we need content. We need things. And I feel like when we messaged our label and said we had held out for a few more weeks, and then we were like, you know what, let's do it. And so we went all in, and that's when it kind of blew up on the charts. It was almost like, here's something fresh and new, because other people weren't really putting anything out.
Right. Well, that's the key. That's you know, if people want fresh and new, then they need White Collar Sideshow. That's all there is to it.
That's right. And like, would you
Well,
say?
that's honest to God, is it?
Would you say that maybe some of the stuff that attributed to the numbers, the rise, was just, you know, maybe timing, also some of the content that's already out there, like, you know, Live from Quarantine, I think the views were starting to just really escalate on that, watching that performance, and just, you know, finding you guys naturally.
Yeah, well, I feel like that has a lot to do with it, especially when everyone was not working, you know, when the world was really upside down, and so everyone was just watching the internet. I feel like that had a lot to do with it. And then towards the end, you know, it wasn't but just a few more weeks after that we actually did the radio push, and a lot of we were doing a lot of interviews, well, like with you guys and other people around the country, other DJs, and kind of word was starting to spread a little bit. So it kind of felt like we had a buzz, and then again, like being able to kind of post the Billboard stuff and say, look, thanks to everyone out there that's keeping up with what we're doing. You guys know as well as we do, it's easy to be out of sight, out of mind. You know, you could be touring and traveling, you're in a different place every time, and the only real crutch you have of keeping up with people is social media, and how many people are tired of your post, or how many people are really keeping up. And I feel like we've got a really good core group of folks out there that really keep up with what we do, and I just think it's awesome. I feel like it's almost like a giant family.
Fantastic,
Yeah,
man.
for sure.
And like going through social media and understanding how important that is, I just want to pose this question to Veronica, being like the queen of marketing and everything for the band. Have you found any challenges getting things done, or are you embracing it and thinking outside of the box and making other things happen?
Well, I think that the biggest thing that we've kind of embraced outside of the box is T's little drum videos. I don't know if you've seen them.
I've been watching them. Yeah.
When we were on tour, he saw this air conditioner and was like, hey, babe, film me doing this real quick. And so we're standing behind a venue waiting for it to open. We did this little 1-minute video. I got like 8 mosquito bites standing out there. And then we threw it online, and it now has like 80,000 views or something, which is huge for us. And so with us being down, I was like, man, you're going to start drumming. I'm just going to start filming you drumming. And he was not on board at first, because he's like, man, I don't want, you know, he just didn't want the attention. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't want to be like this Blue Man Group stuff, you know, just banging on stuff.
Just random. But I'm like, that's what you do. You're a drummer.
I just didn't want it to be all about me.
Yeah, he always wants me to get in the videos, and I'm like, no.
Who's gonna hold the camera? Damn it! I gotta do this.
I'm not gonna just grab a bass and pretend like I'm playing on the bridge or something.
Oh come on! You could go play in that little tunnel you guys are in. You could stand beside that building TD was banging on. It'd be hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
That took a lot of editing.
And so they have. And it was definitely a learning curve, because I don't do our video work. Like, we have a video guy here in town. He's absolutely amazing. And so I had to learn iMovie, just that video software, to try to make it all happen. Then, of course, T like wants to add, well, let's add one more layer of audio here, and let's try this, let's try that, and so
Okay,
it's
so once you get them started, then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
exactly. I'm like, whoa, cowboy, let's just film you drumming. But it's turned out really cool, and especially before kind of everything opened back up, we were getting a really great response. We definitely noticed in May when everything slowly started to open back up and people were going back to work, we weren't quite getting the same response. And then, of course, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, everything happened with that, and so that has kind of flooded the news feed with, which is absolutely like necessary. I get it. And so we're just still trying to stay relevant. And then that was another difficult thing too. It's like, wow, do we share a drum video in the middle of all this? Is this stupid? Like, are we being selfish to try to share this? And then a friend of ours called, and he's a poet and a writer, and he was like, man, I love coming across your videos on my feed just in the middle of everything that's going on, because it gives me like this 1 minute vacation, like this 1 minute break from everything else that's going on. I get to just melt away everything and watch this really cool drum video, and then, you know, you're back to life. And so hearing that from him, I was like, okay, you know, if we can look at it in a way that we are giving people just a break and, you know, just a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of relief, then why not?
I mean, you know, you're going through social media feed and it looks like it's easy to have the world on your shoulders. You can feel the pressure of people choosing sides, and you know, as artists, it's trying to gain knowledge, and it's trying to really like learn sympathy, empathy, how to put yourself in other people's shoes, how to see someone else through someone else's eyes, and have a voice, and try to learn how to bridge the gap, and music is a great vehicle for that. And as you're scrolling through, you know, it's easy to feel the burden of what's out there, and trying to cope with that, you know, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and that's what's been, you know, interesting with our life in this, is trying to find ways to learn how to start building the bridge with who we are in this, our perspective, our perception, what we're seeing, and you know, that's what creates art.
Yep.
And I'd be curious to ask you guys, what have you guys been doing to cope and, you know, have your own self-care, have your own kind of routine throughout all this craziness? Like, what have you guys been doing?
Well, really, like, for us, a lot hasn't changed because we're used to living in our little 49 square foot little RV together.
And I can't believe that still happens and there's no divorce through all this. Holy crap.
Obviously you've made it. You're still there.
I was thinking, even actually before we did the drum videos, I was like, do we need to like counsel people on how to live together through this?
I think you might have. You know what? That's a good way to get content out there too, Veronica. You've done it. You just found your new calling. You're worried about music. Take a pause from that and start doing some Zoom sessions with people.
Trying to save some relationships.
Making it work with Veronica and TD Benton. Here's our little 49 square foot. You know, go for it. It's good.
Sure. But like, we have a little curtain that separates our bed from the, you know, the whole rest of the RV. And so I will stay in bed and drink my coffee and have the computer or work on my phone, and T will close the curtain and he goes and he works out and does his little workout and has his coffee and watches his show or whatever. And so we have our little morning alone time, and we make sure that we're working out every day. And so we've been walking or running, just depending on the day, like 5 to 7 miles a day.
Fantastic.
And so it's a lot. Normally it's not that much, but you know, it's like, well, what else are we going to do? You know, so we might as well. And we just keep finding these routes, especially through Nashville. So we'll make it a little bit longer. And we've made friends along the way. And so we've got like this gentleman, his name's Jackie. He lives on the streets and he stays, and he'll hang out at this picnic bench on this bridge that we always walk by. And so if we see Jackie there, we'll stop and we'll talk to him and hang out. And so it's fun that we've kind of made friends along the walk. And then we just, you know, have edit our drum videos or go film, like decide, we're going to film today, we're going to edit today, what are we going to do? And so other than just like, I'm not booking shows and we're not playing shows, we've kind of filled that time with the drum videos, but otherwise, not much has changed for us, which is so weird.
And I think sometimes, the not much changing helps, but it's so weird because I feel that energy. Personally, I feel energy around people that are stressed and struggling and they don't know what to do, whereas you're just kicking back, doing the same old, and wanting them to tone it down a bit.
Yeah, I feel like, I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I think what's so interesting, and, we've been living like this for 12 years, so we don't have a lot of scratch. We have learned how to stretch a dollar, I guess to say, and anything that's extra, goes to gas or goes to repairs or goes to equipment, things that are needs, not wants, and so and then every day when you're on the road, you're like, okay, Lord, how are we going to pay for gas? Where's our next meal coming from? Where's all this different, how are we going to pay for this financially? Are we going to be able, is this a good choice of routing so we can make this financially work? There's all of these different thoughts that go through your head. And when COVID hit, it almost felt like the whole world jumped into our bathtub because everyone's going, where's our next paycheck coming from? How are we going to pay the bills? What about food? What about family? How is this going to happen? And it was almost like, wow, we haven't really had to think through this because we're so used to living this way.
Right.
But, for some people, that hasn't been a thought in the back of their head whatsoever, that the world could flip and turn upside down. And I feel like something positive that has come out of this, maybe in a sense, is that now people might be thinking, what happens if this happens? What happens if this happens?
Right.
Are we prepared for that? And right? Like it's crazy.
I think that's a good point. Like, I know for me and my family, we never thought we'd be looking at a pandemic situation. Not right now. Maybe a few years down the road, or 20 years or something like that. But not like, boom, here you go, everything's changed. Like we've never lived through anything like this. Certainly had the Spanish flu and stuff like that. Obviously, that was a big one, but aside from that, Jesus, that's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's just something to think about. Like, you'd never think of it on this wide of scale of situation. But I mean, TD, you were mentioning that everybody was like in that bathtub of yours there. Did you feel that people have come to you guys and asked you for advice, knowing that you guys have kind of been living on your own means for quite a while?
I don't necessarily know if I don't recall people really asking for advice, but I felt like we were there to help people realize that you're not alone.
Right.
I think that for us that was an important moment, and that we weren't alone. Like,
we did have a lot of people that were really concerned for us. They're like, "Are you guys okay? Are you gonna make it?" We're like, "You guys, like, remember,
we're a rock band. This is what we do. We're used to not having money. This didn't take money from us." Yeah.
I mean, it was definitely a bummer this year because we had several festivals from May to October, and we were so excited that we were going to be able to play the show and finally play some festivals and really have like a great summer tour. And of course, all that got squashed. And so that was absolutely such a bummer. But as far as just like living our life, it was funny to have people being so concerned, and then they remember, like, oh yeah, okay, you're right. Like,
I think again, it kind of goes back to that out of sight, out of mind, because people only see you from social media, and that's okay. I mean, everyone assumes you're doing great, but ultimately, like with all of us, you don't really know what's going on in someone's life. You don't really know what the struggle is, and so when we were having Zoom meetings with some of our church family, which was really cool to be able to have technology. I mean, I keep thinking, what if there wasn't technology that people could really connect with?
Yeah.
That would be you might not ever see people again.
That's right.
And so it was really to get other people's perspectives and other people's viewpoints. Again, goes back to putting yourself in someone else's shoes, and going, wow, I get where they're coming from. And then here's where we're coming from as well, a different perspective. And when you start to see people in different ways like that, I mean, well, your perception of what's happening all around you changes, but you got to be willing to dig in deep to do that too, and actually, and have empathy and realize that, you know, we're not all in the same boat. We're not. Here's some things that are connecting us that are really making us think about each other, but we're all come from different avenues and different voices, and so it really kind of sparked that, you know, kind of conversation. But again, for us, I feel like that what really through the virus really helped us become more creative. Going, okay, well, we've already got an album written, and of course, you know, I'm working on other ideas, but what can we do that's going to keep us in the forefront of people's minds, where you're not forgotten? And that's where Veronica came up with those drum videos. So it really forced us to be creative in ways that we have not been before. And I feel like that's a cool thing.
Yeah, you know, taking like the good with the bad, if you can do that, I think a lot of people have been really obviously helping themselves that way. But in all this too, we got to see a little bit of, you know, our 2019 Drummer of the Year from the Grizzly Awards too, right? No big deal. No big deal. So those videos kind of led to a nice, delightful little trophy we got to see online. And what exactly are the Grizzly Awards, if you could tell us?
The Grizzly Awards is I think it's in the Christian music world, which we have always kind of been on the fringes of the Christian music world, but we've never really been in that world. When we first started, we were, you know, playing a lot of the Christian music festivals. But for our show, I mean, we were just kind of out there for a lot of people. There's a lot of people that got it. There's a lot of people that, you know, we probably gave them nightmares. And then through the second album, when Chris Baseford, Rob Zombie's producer, and our producer, started helping us like reshape who we are and start doing more, we realized that there were doors opening for us that where we needed to be. You know, people were inviting us to come play places like Spooky Empire and House of Shock and all these places where we were like, dude, this is where we belong. And so, you know, so we've always kind of been on the fringes of the Christian world, but the Grizzly Awards was a big award show. They were actually going to have like a red carpet thing and a full, obviously COVID, you know, kind of squashed that idea. And so they did the online kind of ceremony, and you know, I didn't think it's all fan voted, which is amazing, which is unbelievable.
Nice.
I always think, personally, I'd think that make an award that much sweeter.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. Like that. That's what I was thinking. But that's the whole ironic part to it, I guess, is because we were in there with Christian bands, you know, like Skillet and Disciple and Wolves at the Gate. You know,
yeah, like Demon Hunter's on there. Yeah, it's amazing lineups.
Hunter, yeah, that's right. I saw that. Yeah, that was crazy.
And so you're in there with all these guys and I'm like, if people are listening to these guys, they have no idea who we are. and so when they called and said that we were nominated, and again, all of this thanks to Veronica because of her hard work that we would even get nominated in something. But when they called and said that we were nominated, I was like, I'm nominated for a drummer of the war. Like, who even knows who we are? and then I saw who the other artists were, and I was like, there's no way we're winning this thing. And, you know, we didn't even really promote it because I was just like, we had so many other things going on with the Live from Quarantine. We had a single coming out. There was a lot of things that we were trying to promote. And yeah, Veronica being on the cover of Ink magazine and all of these different things, and we were like, man, here's something else that people have to vote for. Are we like really flooding our market here with different things? And And so, like, we didn't even really promote it. And then a few days later, they called and said, "We just want you guys to know that T won the 2019 Drummer of the Year Grizzly Music Award, and we want you to do a video." And I mean, I just really couldn't believe it, especially with all of the great drummers that I was up against. And I never really see anything anymore as a competition. Like, I really feel like in an art world, in a musical world, I'm not competitive anymore. I just see all of us trying to do the same thing, and that's survive passionately by playing our art. And I'm all about teamwork. So I'm not a competitive person. I'm an encourager and a lover, and someone who's like, go out there and keep going and keep going. And so it was like, wow, I guess sometimes an old dog gets a bone, right?
There you go. You got it.
Spoken like a true champion, Mr. Benjamin.
You know what, though? You guys are exactly right. Like, thanks to everyone who did vote, and thanks to everyone who dug in and really discovered us even through that, who might have not ever known who we were. And thanks to the Grizzly Music Awards for even putting us on a platform to maybe meet people where they're at and reach people, you know?
That's
Right.
awesome. Well, for me, it was all Curtain Call that got me in touch with you guys. Like, if I hadn't gotten an email saying, "Oh, listen to White Collar Sideshow," and I was like, "Okay, I'll check it out," you know, and here we are now, round 2.
That's right. You know, no big deal. Just Billboard chart toppers, award winners.
Man, Curtain Call has definitely been.
They've been hustling for us.
Yeah, they have been hustling for us, and you know, we are so appreciative of them. You never know what you're getting into when it comes to contracts and things like that, and you know, I'm super thankful for them because they have pushed, and we have done more as far as networking in the last year than we, and on a general spectrum, than we have in many years.
That's
And
awesome.
And thanks to those guys, like, they have been super good teammates, and we're stoked to be a part of their fam. So yeah, man, you guys are right.
Well, for what the vibe I get from Curtain Call is that like Angela and a few of the people I talked to are just super nice, but they seem to just kind of let the artist do whatever they want. They don't really step on your toes, but they help take you where you want to go, type thing, without being in your business too much. Is that fair to say, or are they like calling up and saying, "Hey, get a Zoom video going, you guys? Like, what are you doing?"
No, I think they have a fairly good direction. You know, someone will, or either John or someone will say, "Hey, what do you guys think about doing this?" And it's like, cool. And then, right, like, we might do our version of that.
Right.
Which is, and I think, and it seems to me, and I don't want to speak for them, but from an outsider looking in to a lot of the artists that are on Curtain Call, it looks like they're looking for artists who are doing something that's unique, that's different, that's you can definitely tell it's genuine, and people are passionate about it. But I also feel like they're looking for bands that are working hard too. Like, they're looking not just for someone who's got a cool music video, but they're actually networking. They're actually out there scratching, clawing, you know, trying to figure out how to survive doing what they love to do. And I
Right, because they pretty much do the same thing for their artists they represent, so it's a good pairing for sure.
Yeah. It's like I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back.
Totally.
You know, and it feels like that to me. And again, like, I don't know them on a super personal level, simply because we haven't really had an opportunity to meet other than phone calls. And
We would have met this summer.
yeah, we would have met this summer, but everything shut down. And but at the same time, I feel like there's this level of you know what you do, we know what you do, and so let's go do this thing together. You know, not just a bunch of fingers, but a fist.
Yeah,
And,
that's awesome.
And so it feels good that way.
That's great.
And what I love about the relationships people have are the fact that this can work when things are going so crazy in the world like this, because I believe Angela, I don't even think she's met the owner of the company, but she's working there.
No, she hasn't.
Yeah, and she's still crushing it. They're letting her do her thing, and she reaches out as best they can, and people are really, really adapting very well throughout all this.
Yeah, I feel like there's also a lot of different, again, the word perspective coming from different people who are involved. Angela's one. Gigi and John. So you've got all of these different, and it seems like there's a ton of guys out there that are like Cell is one where
Cell, yeah, she's great.
Yeah, that they'll post something like, "Are you guys doing this? Are you guys doing this?" And just in private groups, and it's like, dude, haven't even thought of that. Like, yeah, we're doing that,
Cool.
or yeah, we are doing that. Maybe we could be working on that even better. So there's different thoughts out there that people are throwing in that it's almost like a pool of, oh man, yep, we should be doing this, we should be doing that, or we are doing this, we are doing that, and let's keep like hitting the ground running, even though we're shutting down. How are we well doing these things?
Yeah, they're kind of adapting as things go and kind of keeping you guys in the loop about what's working and just being a huge team and not, it's not every man for themselves, so to speak. It's, a united front, like you said, a fist versus fingers, right? So that's
yeah,
awesome.
Sure. And, with everybody's different thought processes in that, man, you're able to kind of go, all right, that works for us, or that doesn't really work for what we're doing, but we might be able to do our version of that.
Exactly. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah, like the Live from Quarantine happened because John was wanting us to do a live thing, but it's so hard to do what we do, like truly live on a cell phone, and get the sound right and do all the lighting and everything. And it was like, well, a buddy of ours, David Lim, was like, let's film it live and then let's just release it as a live video, and it worked. So kind of an example of an idea that we could take and kind of turn into our own uniqueness of that idea.
Right. It's so like awesome, that video. Like, it just looks so good. The production of it turned out really well. I love promoting that video. Is there any thoughts of, like, Live from Quarantine Part 2 or something else, since things stretched out for so bloody long?
Man, it's what's so hard is, like, we've given away our show. Like, that's what we do live. Obviously, if you come see it in person, it's not in black and white. There's a lot of stuff in black and white, but there's more color to it. But that's what's challenging now is, how do we do something again, and people are gonna be like, oh, that's the same thing they just did. So we've kind of been throwing around an idea with a guy that's in Alabama, that's doing kind of this VR.
Virtual reality, alternate reality.
Whoa.
Yeah. So,
but
who knows?
Yeah,
what's gonna happen,
it's
but
all
that would
experimental.
Be, like, seriously, Live from Quarantine 2.0.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
sick. That sounds
from
fun.
Quarantine 2078. You could call it.
But it's all this experimental stuff that he's working on, and so we don't even know. Like, I don't want to say, yeah, that's what we're doing, because if it doesn't work, out, then it's like, oh, we said something, but we didn't deliver. So there's some things we're trying to figure out on what could be next.
Awesome.
And then we've got another single that we're going to put out in a few weeks, to kind of try to follow up Bring Out Your Dead. And we've been kind of talking over My Warped Places. I know you guys dug that tune.
Yeah, I love that one.
Very cool.
Yeah,
That's kind of a radio edit of that song. So,
I guess. Radio edit for sure. That's a good song, though. I really think you could just pick anything, because that's such a good album. Such a good album.
Yeah, and what made you guys decide that song specifically?
Well, I think we've had so much feedback on that song, because it's it goes from that almost country to heavy. It's got a catchy chorus. It's got a catchy hook. So there's I feel like it's also different from you coming out with Bring Out Your Dead is kind of really taken off, and then coming out with something that has another unique flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I mean there's other songs like "Fistful of Grace" is a golden egg. I feel like I feel like "Pig in the Middle." If we do a radio edit for that one, I feel like that one is a catchy. We just got some great feedback from the company Taxi on that.
I loved watching that one during that live from quarantine. For some reason, that just comes off with so much energy.
But I love "Hug Me or Hang Me." Like I think everybody could sit here and look at the track list and say, "Well, you could do this one, or
exactly,
you could do that one, or you could do this one."
Yeah, and you know what? Like that's the trick of it is that's what's so hard is that I feel like everything could be a single. I feel like there are things that need radio edits for sure. But at the same time, it's going, I never thought "Bring Out Your Dead" was going to be the song that took off. Like, that was our producer's favorite one on the album because he was like, and this is a song that he said, this is a song I wish, or Rob Zombie wishes he wrote.
Hell yeah, fuck, what a compliment.
Take that, Rob Zombie. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like My Workplaces is something that is a general, I feel like it could really hit rock and roll perspective of here's a twist. Here's a song with a twist. Yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think you could do that. Like I said, I really don't think you could miss no matter which one you pick. But yeah, My Workplaces would be a good one for sure.
Yeah, I'm always curious to see what comes from a single because that album, aside from just like I don't know, we've raved about it and said like the whole album has so many cool songs. Yeah, and it just has like everything, like "Fistful of Grace," like like I'm loving "Like Spiders Weave." It just kind of grew on me. It's just a different type of track. "Pig in the Middle," that one just gets me going and just like jacked. So there's just so much to choose from, and that's the sign of you guys like killing it with that album. And just at least I think the more singles that are out there, the more people will be like, wow, okay, this is an album maybe I need. But also, are you guys going to keep producing singles for a while? I know you said you have some like a lot of music written, ready to go. What's the plan?
Well, I feel like for us, obviously the video stuff is very much a big part of what we do. I feel like eventually what we'll do, as far as what Curtain Call wants to do with radio pushes, I'm not quite sure how that really works or looks. But I know we'll probably have to have a follow-up single, and we'll probably have to figure that out all together. But eventually we are going to release every song on this album.
Awesome.
And the video that goes to it. Because when you put the whole film together, it's a story.
I was telling Veronica last night, I sent her a message on Facebook. I said, hey, I'm finally sitting down and watching these movies that come with the CDs. It was awesome. It was awesome. I hadn't done that yet. I don't know why, but I cracked it last night. I was like, well, I better watch this. So what I'm talking about. Like, even The Witch Hunt was fantastic. And then, of course, I Didn't Come Here to, Didn't Come Here to Die was also fantastic, man. Like, it's just cool, TD. You're a man of many hats. I really loved watching this thing. It's total Sin City vibe, like you said the last time we talked. And yeah, when you put the songs together, it's a whole other experience for sure. It's cool to see it with the visuals. I like that for sure.
It kind of gives the album a voice, what you're writing about personally. When you can view it in that sense, it gives you a different take on, ooh, that could mean exactly what's happening right now in today's world.
Right, and same with The Witch Hunt. We had the music with the visuals like that. I felt like I was watching like Hostel or something. You know that movie? You ever see that one? That horror movie?
Oh yeah, cool. I'm a horror movie fan, so
yeah,
you can definitely tell like Witch Hunt. When in the Christian music world, trying to perform that live, you can see how we would challenge people's thinking in that.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
So, but at the same time, what's really cool about having those visuals, especially when you're playing in different countries, people, it's not even like music is such a universal language, but also showing them the visuals is a universal language, and people can see themselves in those films.
Yep, certainly.
And what I like with anything added extra is it adds to the reason to buy some physical media too. Like having that available on the disc is so cool. I remember having some albums there. I think one was by Dope. Every song they released had a video filmed for it too. And I remember actually taking the time to watch it and diving into it, because that is something in music that gets to me quite a bit, is just how it's not so much an experience anymore, because you just point and click and millions of songs are at your disposal and you just kind of fly through it.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I don't want to say that that the visual aspect is a lost art, because I know that there are artists out there that do it. Like even for us, it's, it takes a lot of scratch and a lot of money to put an album together, and then it takes 3 times as much to film.
Put up, yeah.
And then when you're talking merchandise, like, just to put a sleeve of a CD out, it's not that expensive. But when you're talking DVD, packaging, CD, booklets and
the booklets,
like that, man, you're trying to do the best you can with what you have. And I feel like it's something that is kind of a calling card for us. I mean, the Witch Hunt, my gosh, and even our style, the film that we have to that, it was so primitive, which I still go back and watch those videos, and all those videos are on YouTube. I can go, or on our website, but I can go back and watch our beginnings in that what we did in our first videos, and going into the Witch Hunt and going, wow, this is above and beyond what we were doing. And Veronica, we don't like, Travis is our film guy, our editor, and he hires a lot of the grip guys and whomever to come help. But Veronica does the producing, she does the scheduling, she gets the catering, she puts the actors, puts everything together. And a lot of people don't know that. Like, you just assume people do that for you. Mm-hmm. But man, it's just 24 hours of work. And
she also stars in them, so there you go.
That's right.
You were badass, girl. My gosh.
It was fun. That one was really fun.
It's really good. Love it.
Man, well, we super appreciate you guys for the compliments and for supporting us and buying actual physical merchandise. And
yeah, I'm glad you guys got your stuff when you did, because I've had people that had their packages delayed, especially whenever the riots were happening, or even just because of COVID, because they have limited employees at the post office. Right. And so people have been like, oh, my package. I'm like, well, it's saying it's going to be there, and there was this one guy, we're outside of Detroit, I think. I ultimately just sent him another CD, and then the first one arrived, and I was like,
of course,
give it to somebody else,
Oh, that's nice.
And so, especially going to Canada, crossing the border, I was glad
it was pretty quick, honestly. Like, I think it took like 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, and like that was definitely before the nonsense went down, because I recently was waiting on something, and it was held up in Florida for 2 weeks at the UPS center. And of course, I was at Florida. I was like, oh great, so when it comes, I gotta sanitize this bastard.
Right.
And then it finally took another 3 weeks to get here. Yeah, so whatever. It's the mail. It comes, but that's other stuff that we deal with, and I'll gladly wait to get myself some sweet, sweet merchandise.
I'm still waiting on stuff from Australia. I've been waiting about 2.5 months now. Come on.
Oh my gosh.
It takes forever. Wow. Buddy said, yeah, I'm going to send you a CD and a tape. Thanks for everything. I was like, cool, man. When did you send it? Oh, April. Oh, well, that's June 29th. Another day down. Hasn't been here yet.
Man.
Good things come to those who wait.
That's right. I'm patient. I'm a fairly patient person.
That's right. I got another one supposed to come tomorrow, but you got to watch that out. I got dinged for bloody customs this time. Bastards. Whoa. Yeah.
What? This time you got dinged for customs?
Yeah, they got me. They added an extra $30 to my $75 purchase. Woo!
What the?
I thought you were talking about that time you tried to order some brass knuckles and they held them at the border. I got dinged with that one time.
No, they
order some self-defense thing. They're like, just, nah, man.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty intense. They came with like a government form, and I was like, oh, worried. I was like,
letter.
Yeah. I was just, I
Man,
thought
that's crazy.
I thought I could just buy them from Wish. It was no big deal, man.
Yeah. It's the internet. Can't you buy anything you want off the internet? Not a problem. Come on. They took my money, no problem.
Brass knuckles are pretty sweet.
I thought they just looked cool, like, you know, and I guess you can get them if it makes it look like a paperweight or something that had added stuff to it, but these ones just didn't look like it. I think they're actually attached to a necklace, too. That's kind of how they were trying to get around it, and then I got the letter, and I was like, oh, okay. Then I just said, please dispose of these, do what you do with them, and I was good to go.
Wow.
Live you learn.
Yeah, right?
I had a guy come to my house with a letter that said, you have to go down to the post office and deal with something. I was like, who the hell are you, man? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, this item you ordered, you're not getting it. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. Do you have to do this? Like, oh, yeah, we have to do that. You try to import a weapon, sir. I was like, holy shit. All right, fella, it was a keychain with 2 pointy dog ears on it. Sorry.
Man, I'm a sucker for, like, knives and...
Yeah, exactly.
But they it has to have sentimental value too. I trade a lot on the road.
Nice.
And I used to have a ton of and I like cowboy knives. Like I like knives with sheaths. I watch so many old westerns, and so it has to have a little bit of like a sheath. It has to character. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for.
Nice.
And but that's my thing.
And I guess you'd probably have to be pretty picky with what you're taking, what you're trading, because you guys don't have a big old household to store stuff in. So,
right.
I think I've dwindled my collection down to like I have like maybe 5 knives that I have with me.
Which I give him a hard time, and I'm like, dude, you got 2 hands.
You can only hold 2 knives.
Like we played a festival in Poland, and I actually it was a really cool festival called Slot Fest, and the music actually didn't start until like 5 o'clock in the evening, and it was in a 16th century castle. Is that right? Like 12th century. Like the festival was so big, every stage was inside the castle, and so but during the day they would have classes set up for people who were camping. So you could go like to a cooking class or how to rebuild a motorcycle engine or, all these different things. And they had
100 different.
Yeah, like 100 different things.
Throughout the weekend. So it's more focused on art and teaching art.
Oh, neat.
And music, just a byproduct, just a side thing.
And it was really cool. I took a blacksmithing class with a guy there who had never even spoken to. I was the first American that he had ever met, but he was 24 and he had been blacksmithing since he was 12. So I mean, like talk about learning a trade. But I made a knife like there out of a steel iron rod and an anvil, and he helped me. And so, I mean, it's very rough looking,
It was like a 4-hour process.
Yeah, it was a 4-hour process, and it's nothing like what they do on Forged in Fire and that. But it's something like a buddy of mine made a sheath for me, and it's like it's legit, and I'm proud of that. Like it's a knife that's got character that I would never trade. My wife got me a knife in Turkey that's got buffalo horn. There's some things out there that I could never trade. So I've dwindled down to like the most, RAM, excuse me, the most personal characteristics, I guess.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
I always wanted this samurai sword from Japan. I saw how they made it. Like, they put, like, this big, just chunk of steel underneath the dirt, and they, like, cook it for, like, days and days and days, and then they gotta bust it out of the steel and see if the metal's actually good enough to forge into this sword, and then it does, and it's, like, takes weeks and months, and then all of a sudden you get your $15,000 samurai sword, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I need this bad boy.
Oh, man. I don't understand why you don't have one of these.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Because I was smart and went to school and have an amazing student loan that could have bought me a samurai sword.
What you should have done is got your student loan and spent it on the samurai sword.
Or just use that line of credit, and I could have been like, these are for books. For books,
yeah.
Right?
Books, on samurai swords. I'm buying a samurai sword to learn
How
about
to cook
samurai
your
swords.
own samurai sword.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. We'll use some of that Saskatchewan steel, boy.
Yeah. More.
Kill Bill is your movie.
That's
Oh yeah, that's a pretty good time. Pretty good time. Tarantino knows what he's doing for sure.
That's right.
Totally agree with that statement.
That's how they had the what was their ranking system for those swords? Like a 10 body blade or something like that, or an 8 body blade. That was how many people you could cut in half
Yeah,
from
right.
one swing, something like that. I think that was like a legit unit of measurement. I can't remember where I saw that. So there's a show on Deadliest Warrior or something on TV a few years back. They'd like have all these simulations, like say like a Spartan versus a whatever, and then go over like the weapons and what they used and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that was what they said for a samurai sword. They would base it on how many bodies you could cut through with one swing for like how sharp it was
Man.
and stuff like that.
That's
Like
how
an 8
sharp
body
I want
blade or
my
something. That's crazy. There you go. You know what? You got something to work towards, man.
Man, that's intense. Yeah, I know that show. I mean, I haven't really seen a lot of those shows because we don't have a TV. But
Right.
at people's houses, I've seen like those like historical shows on History
Yeah.
Channel or whatever about the weapons. And
That's crazy.
come on,
It's nuts. You know?
And-
Yeah.
Veronica, what kind of hobbies you got? Do you got some craziness in you?
I love cooking, and I love dogs. Like those are my two favorite things.
So Ginsu
So-
knives, maybe Ginsu knives for cooking.
Ginsu
Yeah,
nuts.
maybe. Like I have a nice little chef knife, but yeah, I do love cooking. We've actually talked about doing a cooking video in the
Oh my goodness! There you go.
Awesome.
yeah. There's so much editing that it would involve though, and of course it's all me. Like I'm the one that would do everything. So I'm like,
And-
do I really want to take it on? But it is. I feel like it would be great because we live in such a small space, and I do cook some really awesome meals, and it shows people that in a dorm room or in a tiny apartment or living on in an RV that you can have really delicious, healthy meals. But
Right.
I just haven't done it yet.
You should do it. I think
I-
you'd probably get some response for that.
Yeah, I need to. I just need to do it. Just buckle
Just
down.
do it. Just sit
Yeah.
there and say, you know what? Today's the day. I'm just gonna make your signature dish. Send it to the Food Network. Tell them to pick you up.
Yeah.
Like, look, we're charting on Billboard. We're rock stars, and we can cook, and TD makes knives. So
That's right. You could be on anything.
there's your premise
Reality.
for the show.
Perfect.
That's right. That's right.
she would not want my 45-year-old drumming hands to try to chop anything up that she's.
I bet you could friggin' chop things pretty good, man.
Dice with the best of them.
That's it, dicing. Thank you.
Slicing and dicing.
Slicing and dicing. You're
Oh,
the samurai.
there's a song title right there.
Slicing and dicing. Yeah.
Cool, guys.
Oh, man.
Awesome. Yeah, and anything else we haven't touched on that's coming up, guys? What's, new music? Is it going to sound any different? You got any ideas? Is Corona going to play into this new music? Like, what's going on?
Right? Yeah, I don't know. If I feel like our last album is so prophetic. Like the lyrics and everything are so prophetic from what is happening right now. It's really, really weird just to like sit back and just read our lyrics and relate it to modern times. But man, we're just trying to get through this year more than anything. We still have one festival that's holding out. They said by mid-July we'll know whether or not they're going to cancel. I honestly have a feeling they will, but I really, just because everybody else is.
Right.
But I don't know. And then basically every festival that canceled this year has already told us we want you back next year, which is cool because then I already have kind of a blueprint of what next summer is going to look like. And so I can just start going full force, booking in between festivals for next summer rather than waiting like, oh, are we going to get a festival or are we not? It's kind of nice having that planned out. And then we're actually even supposed to go to Germany next October for a festival. And then we've been chatting with a guy who has even mentioned us playing in Malaysia or Thailand.
Nice.
Yeah, so those are, we've been to Germany before, but we've never been to Asia other than Eastern Turkey is actually considered Asia.
I did not know that.
That would be really epic to do that. Yeah, it's split. It's funny. Istanbul is, once you cross halfway through it, you're all of a sudden in Asia. It's kind of weird. Anyway, so I don't know what's going to happen with that. And of course, like with COVID, like who knows what's going to happen with anything. I don't know if you guys saw that U.S. travel is even banned to Europe right now.
Okay.
And, yeah, and even to Canada or Mexico, it has to be essential.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
that I knew. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so bad here in the States right now. It's just, I was telling T, I kind of feel like everybody is just not on the same page. And
No
it feels
doubt.
like you're in elementary school and the teacher's like, okay, if everybody will be quiet, we can go outside. And
There's always that one. Yeah.
And the T goes, beep. And I was like, it was you! You were the one! You were the kid in elementary school that made us sit inside for 5 more minutes. I know it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, he's always kind of writing and always kind of working on stuff. And our kiddo, Tristan, he's great with words. He's a creative writing minor. And so I think Ty's trying to get him to throw some lyrics our way for some of our new songs as well. And so,
nice.
Yeah, I mean, we're just kind of just chipping away. We'll see. I mean, we don't really have the new show in the forefront of our mind right now, just because we've barely gotten a tour. I didn't come here to even though it's been out for almost a year.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I'm worried about. Some bands that have put things out, that this year might be a wash for certain albums or releases because they came out at the wrong time, and then they just had to carry on and move on to the next thing, whereas something really good might have been left in the lurch. But with digital stuff, it's always available at least.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I feel like, too, like we're super blessed and lucky enough to have, Bring Out Your Dead on the charts to kind of not let this album maybe flush down the toilet so fast.
Right.
And,
exactly.
Because really, we've spent everything, our life, putting this whole show together. And so when the world does open back up, we do need to go out and tour this thing. But I do have some ideas for a new project. I mean, there's a little bit to everything shutting down where we were in Nashville, talking with these guys last, and going, well, what happens after White Collar Sideshow? Like, we've been doing this for 14 years. We're here. I'm rebuilding community. Am I going to go drum for someone else? Like, what's the next step in this? And then when the song hit the charts, it was like, well, I feel like I need to write another album. I feel like you have to at least try and follow things up, and it's kind of in your blood at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have written a song for a possible new project. I've got some ideas that I've probably, when we get back to Nashville, I'll start really sitting down and writing blueprints and, outlines and things of going, what does it look like to go this direction or this way? Because I feel like I Didn't Come Here to Die is really our voice now, where I feel like the last couple albums have been, influenced by so much. And I feel like we finally come into our own uniqueness, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way this album is, but I also see things that I would love to do better on the next album. I love the old Western. I love mixing all the genres. And I feel like there's a good platform here to go into the next album with fresh eyes again. And so plus with everything that's happening, it gives you an opportunity to most people are like, you should be writing right now, you should be writing, but the ideas don't come to me that way.
Yeah.
There's nothing to write about that I'm seeing at the moment that's hitting me going, well, I should be writing this down. But at the same time, there are ideas that I have written down that have affected me through this, that I feel like I could kind of start platforming a whole concept again of an album. And you guys have seen our other projects, like that's the way I write, is concept.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I feel like I Didn't Come Here to Die is the most, every song can stand alone on its own. I don't feel like it was like that with Witch Hunt. I feel like you had a couple in there that could stand out, but if you had to listen to the album as a whole to kind of capture a vision. And I feel like with I Didn't Come Here to Die, it's I learned that from Witch Hunt, that I wanted every song to be a standalone, but could still come together as a concept. And that's what I want to keep kind of building on as well with another album. So, and I do have an idea. I kind of have a throwaway title for it, and it's a matter of gathering my thoughts and putting it on paper. Once you write something down, man, it's putting it into action. It's the start of the process.
And isn't it funny sometimes how it can take like 15 years to feel like you finally found that voice?
Dude, I was telling my son that the other day because, he's an artist too, and he sees what's happening in our life. And for him, like he's an outsider looking in going, I can't believe it. And for us, we're going back to work. And so, and that's what I was trying to explain to him, because he was performing in a band and recently just felt like he wasn't what he was really wanting to do or what he envisioned. And he learned a lot from the process of being in that band, learned what not to do, learned what to do, learned ideas of how to keep going. And that's what I'm explaining to him. When you're in these moments, you take everything that you're learning, the good and the bad, but you're eventually using it for what you want your vision to be. And that's what I'm kind of doing too, is seeing more vision through all of this process and finally hearing and finding a voice. Yeah, why does it take 14 years? Because it's all trial and error. It's all the mistakes you learn from. You learn from all your mistakes, your failures, and you keep growing. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, this isn't my identity, because I bring my identity to art. But at the same time, I'm starting to infuse who I really am into this, so a voice can really start to take place and maybe spark something for someone else to do greater things,
And when you guys sit back and maybe look at that and see where it's finally taking you, what do you guys think about that?
Oh, man, this has been, for me, it's just been a roller coaster from the very beginning of this journey. There's a scripture in the Bible where the good Lord says, if you give me your life, your heart, your mind, your soul, your finances, everything in your life, I will give you an abundant life. And I never really understood that. I always thought abundant life meant like, well, good, we'll be taken care of financially.
Right.
But I'm starting to realize through this journey that abundant life is the roller coaster ride. Like when you get on a roller coaster, man, you're normally going straight up and then straight down. The loop-de-loops, the twists, the turns, the curves, the drops, and by the time that roller coaster is done, you want to get off of that thing and go, man, that was a sweet ride,
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what the last 14 years has been for us. It's been super highs, super lows, epic fails, exciting moments like what's happening to us now, strange and unusual things that are going on. Your loop-de-loos, it hasn't been monotony. And I feel like that's what this journey has been for me personally. I'm not trying to speak for Veronica. I know we kind of talk about this a lot, that, we have done things in this life we would never have dreamed of. And, there's not money for that, but the gift is like playing a place in Poland or Brazil or Chile or New Zealand, playing these places and seeing the world. And that's priceless, building relationships with people like you guys. Like, if it wasn't for music or art or even selling everything we owned 14 years ago to do this, we wouldn't be having conversations today. We wouldn't be sharpening iron or inspiring each other, challenge each other's thinking. And we literally have so many people in our life that we get to do that with, that we love, that get what we're doing, even beyond music, that it's just a journey. And so, right, like it's just hard to, it's even if we were on our deathbed right now, looking back, it would be so hard to explain that, because it would be just a story to someone else,
Right.
you know, unless
Right.
you're living it and breathing it yourself. What do you think, V?
Absolutely.
I mean, I never thought our life would be like this, and I always think, like, if it ended tomorrow, I have absolutely no regrets, and I love the journey that we have been on. And I think, Troy, you were talking about earlier how we're just trying to figure it out. We're not really stressing out about anything. And I think that's just how our life has become, where we don't know what tomorrow's going to bring, and so we might as well just truly enjoy today.
For sure.
And my father-in-law, he'll always ask us, what's our 10-year plan? Well, I can guarantee 0 people had a worldwide pandemic in their 10-year plan.
No doubt, right?
I didn't even have that in my 2-week plan. Yeah.
Right? And it dampened a lot of people's plans. And so it's like, man, you can't just like have this set plan and live on it. You know, I get it. It's great. I get it. Like, there are courses based on future and financial planning and whatever, but just not how we live, and it's just not how we've operated. And I have no regrets. I just love this life that we have created, and I don't know what tomorrow brings. And, you know, if we end up off the road and white collar's done, we will have lived more in these 14 years than most people do in a lifetime.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's a great way to look at it. Like, T and V, like, that was like, you know, amazing, just dealing with mindfulness, you know, the gratitude, like gratefulness, everything that I think a lot of people can really use in this time of their life. So this day and age, it's about that ride, you know, the experiences, the highs and lows. I know tonight, after kind of stuff that's been going on in my life, that just kind of gets in the background there and made me think, yeah, okay, I'm doing what I should be doing. Things are going good. You know, I don't got it too bad, and I appreciate that outlook you guys have.
Oh man, that's good stuff. Well, I mean, you know, that's part of sharpening each other. If we're not having conversations, if we're not seeing it from that point of view, then what are we really doing? You know, what are we really doing with art? What are we really doing? You know, even for you guys in radio, you guys are pushing art, and it's about pushing those things that inspire people to keep dreaming big, even when we're in a pandemic. It's challenging people's thinking to think outside that little box that we've always known, and really it's just encouraging each other that, man, we can all do greater things than we thought we ever could, and help other people do greater things than they ever could, if that's what we so choose to do. But I feel like art is a vehicle for those things, visually, the songs, I think all of that, and not just our stuff. I think there's lots of people out there doing that, and I think if you keep your focus and your clarity, you know, especially the challenge is not thinking about the future, especially in what's happening in today's world now. How do we live in the present and not think about the future? I mean, that is such a hard thing to kind of digest, but that's kind of the moments that we're living in right now. Like, what are we doing today? Like, how can we be good today? What are we doing today? And man, that is such easier said than done, right?
Isn't it though?
Well, because for so long you keep thinking, like, you know, what am I going to be doing next week? What am I doing in a month? What am I doing even tomorrow? You know, what's going on? But now it's like, oh, all we really have is today anyways. So
and right,
how do you switch?
There's so much that's out of control, right? That we want to try and control that, but we can't. And just being now, okay, I can control what we're talking about right now, who we're dealing with, what I'm doing with, and that's what I want. And, you know, I think, you know, hearing you guys, you know, express your point of views through your art and, you know, just your attitudes in general. You know, we appreciate you guys always coming on, having these conversations that are a little bit more than just music and just, you know, seeing what's going on with you guys.
Well, Exactly. It's perspective for everybody, and certainly, like I always take away a lot from our conversations when we're lucky enough to have you guys on here. We'll have to do it again sometime, and we'll keep going.
Oh man, we love it. We love talking to you guys, especially since the last interview, and we're just super grateful that that you'd spend your time with us, and
Wow,
yeah,
that's
that we get to
likewise,
have-
man. Likewise.
I appreciate it, and we get to have conversations that's not just about music. It's almost just hanging out, and you know, sometimes radio interviews can be all business, and that's fine too. But this feels like we should be like having a cigar by the fire outside, you know.
Well, there's definitely
While
been
you're waiting for your knife to be ready to be made.
there's definitely been some that you can tell, you know, they're all business. Like when we get into friendly banter, they're just like no reciprocating any of that back. You're like, okay, well, carry on then.
Guess I'll just ask my list of questions, not have any fun. Fine.
Well, yeah, I get that. I know some musicians that would rather not have to say anything. Oh man. Well, we super appreciate you guys, and thanks for spinning our stuff. Thanks for supporting us, and we're just super honored to be part of your show, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, like I said, that's all mutual over here, my friends. We appreciate your guys' time. You're on to bigger and better things now, certainly with Billboard and Veronica's cooking show and your swordsmith career, and it's just going to be a real good time for everybody. So.
Well, maybe one of these decades we'll be able to get up to Canada.
That's
Yeah.
right. We'll be here
That's
for
the
you.
goal. We'll be here for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to meet you guys in person and just sit around and hang, man. That sounds like a great
That's
great
right.
day.
We'll bring you some maple syrup and poutine, whatever, all the good stuff.
Yeah, whatever. We'll fire up the grill and have a good time, guys.
Have some moose.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
whatever.
that's actually
I will
very
go
good meat.
find
I
a
love a
meat.
good moose burger.
There you go.
Oh man, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Cool, guys.
Well,
Awesome,
Troy
guys.
and Joe, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you
guys
very
just
much.
kick ass this week. Stay safe. You know, enjoy life.
Yes, sir, man. That sounds like a great plan.
We'll see you up to in a couple months. See if you're on Food Network or Discovery Channel, whatever's going on.
They
We'll
might
keep
be
in
needing
touch.
some content, huh?
That's right. That's right. I think you should do that show, V. Especially now, these musicians out here trying to get going again. They gotta learn how to cook.
Oh man, I know it. I know. She's already working 24/7, so
No doubt. Yeah, right.
Day that we can.
One more thing to add to the pile. Right?
Oh, you guys, man, I love this interview. Hey, hit us up in a couple months. Let's do it again.
Without a
All right,
doubt.
let's do it again. We're done. Absolutely, guys. Thank you very much for your time, folks. Take care.
All right. See you guys.
Peace. White Collar Sideshow has left the building.
You know, they're just the
Good people.
best.
Fucking
Yeah, I know we didn't even bother with an intro on this one. I don't even think we should. We'll just get right into it.
It's just yeah.
So if you're listening to when you get your way through this, there's not going to be an intro. You're going to hear the Limbo intro music, and then just we pick it up where Troy pressed record, because those two right there are class acts, and I will have nothing but great things to say about those guys until the end of time.
exactly.
Fair people, fair band. There you go.
They're not friends of the show. They're friends.
They're friends.
Right? They're just great people. They're always really fun to talk to because, like, the side banter, the conversations we talk about are very uplifting, very almost not spiritual, but very mindful, and what people really want to hear. Almost like the beginning days of our pod back in the day, Joe.
Back when we had souls. And
That's right. That's right.
Now we're just chasing content like a couple of whores on the street, but you know, it's fine.
That's
I'm just
right.
kidding. We don't do that.
We just want to hear everybody's story, and this is
Just
were they the first people to like basically come back? Like, no, you've had a couple people that have already been on, hey?
Well, Plike I had.
Yes, that's right.
And
So look at that,
then
striking
White
up
Collar,
with
but
White Collar.
was the first band from Curtain Call that we interviewed.
And they were
And
probably
since
one of
then-
our.
yeah.
one of our first best ones, honestly. They were just amazing.
That was one of my favorites. So after the first time we talked to them was, and that's still one of my favorites, because that was just, you never know what you're going to get when you talk to musicians. I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean like we've had 99% of them have been great. There's, a couple that weren't that great, but for the most part, everybody's been awesome. But for me, just the first time we got to talk to TD and Veronica was positive. So I was very stoked that they wanted to come back to talk to us tonight, and that they want to do it again in a couple months.
Yes.
To me, that says a lot to me about what we're trying to do and just the people that they are, especially.
Right.
So,
and
thank you guys very much.
one thing that's super exciting is whenever a band we talk to goes on and has success, right? They have this stuff on the Billboard. He has like Drummer of the Year award from the Grizzly Awards. They're just
that was cool.
Getting recognized and acknowledged for all the work they do, and they deserve it, man. And when we get to see those people get to that point, it's so fun. It's so fun. It feels like maybe we had something to do with it, probably everything, but no big deal.
I bought you that award, T.
You never forget that.
Billboard slot too. You owe me. No, just kidding. But no, it's absolutely it's. I don't know. We make a connection with these guys, and it's awesome to see them succeed. And that's all there is to it. I kind of sit there like super fan. It's like, oh my god. White Collar's on billboards now, holy shit. And like you said, that one where they were like the most added band to radio stations at one chart, I was like, well, good for you guys. Like, just nothing but happiness and just gratitude, thankful that you guys are on here again, man.
Love you guys. Always.
Always will. Take care, guys.
We're done. Ka!
Cow!